What is going on, Stock Card fans? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day, and today we are here to talk about the number one reason that you should not gamble in sports cards in a couple different manners. So whether that be prospecting or opening packs, I think that those are pitfalls that a lot of people can fall into. And the main reason I feel that that is with social media, the way that things are constructed nowadays. Whenever grail cards go to auction, everyone hears about it, everyone sees it. So whenever these big cards are out and about, that's all you see. So then you start to think that that's all that matters, right? When in reality, that's not true. Only a small segment of people really, deal in those waters. And so for most people, what you should be doing is instead finding something that's good enough for you in your scale of whatever you're buying. And that's not a bad thing. Not everyone can buy the best of the best. Obviously, everyone wants to compete, everyone wants to do that, but realistically, there are tons of great cards that don't get coverage constantly, that aren't always talked about, and that you can go out there and buy. And a lot of people don't see that, because most people are caught up in seeing and comparing what other people are doing, because that's what social media kind of makes people do, right? So what this leads to is people will then either start to do one of two things. If you're someone that likes to rip packs, you'll start to do that, because through ripping packs, maybe you get a hit. And as we've been able to see throughout this last year, there are times where you can get a hit in a pack that could be one of the best cards that's apparently ever been made. And why not take that chance, right? At least that's some people's thought process. Same thing goes with gambling on a young guy and prospecting that way, because apparently you've missed out on the boat. You can't buy the good cards, so instead you go for a young guy in hopes that that becomes a good card, and then you have this collection that you can be like, I knew guys, I knew he was going to be great, and look at these cards, I bought them cheap, now they're expensive. And so those are the two things that people like to do. Today I'm going to show why that's silly, at least in the soccer card realm. In other segments, I believe it still holds true. It's just other cards, other situations, and all that jazz. So let's go ahead and head on over now to eBay, where we'll talk through some price differences. So here we go. On eBay, this card actually has fallen quite a bit. It's a Topps Chrome Refractor Mbappe PSA 10. A lot of people claim this to be a rookie. It's his second year, but it is like a first good card release, I would say. So that's why it gets that praise. This was recently as high as $4,000 in the last few months. It's now about $2,500, which is obviously still a good sum of money. I'm using typically more higher price cards, because that can mimic the GOAT market and the higher markets you probably should be in with this type of money. But just throwing it out there. I know a lot of people might say, well, if you're spending $2,500 on an Mbappe second year card, you got that money to gamble and that's no biggie, right? I don't think so. I see lots of people that $2,500 obviously makes a difference to their life, and at least it's something that they don't want to lose, that they feel that this is somewhat of a safe purchase, and I don't believe that to be true, and here's why. So with this Mbappe, I gotta find the pop real quick. I have it up on the side. So this is pop 150 in a PSA 10. Now keep in mind, for this 2017 set, there's also numbered cards, so there's a lot of other ones that are even better than this one, right? So it is pop 150, and we'll compare it to this Ronaldo 4.5. So this sold for a little less. You can get it for about $100 less than the Mbappe, and it is a 4.5. And a lot of people are going to be like, 4.5? I don't buy those. I only buy great cards. Well, the difference is in 2017, a Topps Chrome Mbappe, people are keeping that in good shape, right? So getting a 10 on that isn't even hard. That's actually to be expected to an extent. Like 45%, I believe, is what the gem rate is on that. So that happens all the time. A 4.5 for the Ronaldo obviously isn't great. But if you look at the front, I mean, what? So we got a little corner damage right there and some edge wear. I'm like, that's what's wrong with it. It's not that bad. Now, the back, there is a little bit of a surface blemish up here, but you get the point. Good looking card. If you can get by the one or two flaws, it's still a great looking card. Now you might say, well, it's a 4.5. What's the pop on it? The pop is 32. I brought it on over to the PSA grade. I just equated this to 4, basically, is what I did. So it's a 32 pop with 195 higher. Now you'll remember the Mbappe was a pop 150 with all those numbers higher than it, and this is a pop 32 with 195 higher. So really, with the Mbappe, the amount of cards that you're comparing it to is about the same amount of cards that you're comparing the Ronaldo to within the same subset, right? And that is wild to me. That is absolutely wild, because obviously with the Ronaldo, you're not taking any risk. You know this guy's a legend. Like, there's no risk in it at all, but people would rather gamble on Mbappe because they know that if something happens, then they can sell into the hype, and that's the theory, and that's what kind of builds this whole momentum that gets going, right? But that's just one example. You could go ahead and buy a GOAT instead of buying a young guy right now. You do have to get over the fact, oh my god, my card has some scratches and a little blemish on the surface. You'll live, right? This is still an incredible card. I can guarantee you in 20, 50, 100 years in soccer card history and lore, this card's gonna matter. That Topps Chrome Mbappe, I don't know. Maybe it's his Panini foot. Maybe it's another select 2017 card. You don't know with Mbappe. You don't even know if it's the refractor, the numbers, this set, that set. There's a lot to consider. And this is with Mbappe, which actually, as we'll get to later, Mbappe's a better example of a young guy in the sense that he doesn't have a ton of rookie stuff, so at least it's more condensed. Some of these newer guys, it gets even wilder. So the next comparison here, we have Pedri. This is a red and gold choice mosaic, number 288. Now it is PSA 10, which is why it warrants a little bit higher of a price tag at $850. But again, with these modern cards, you have like a 50-50 chance of gemming them. So really, it's not that impressive. People will pay up for it, but at the end of the day, I don't see it as any crazy achievement that gemming a card in modern day should be celebrated, right? $860 for that. If we compare it to Messi, which is like the peak of what Pedri could be, I mean, this Messi, cheaper than that by about 80 bucks. Now, this Messi is a PSA 8, which honestly, a PSA 8 Monday Chromo, pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. So, this is another example where, all right, well, what's the pop? So with the pop with the Pedri, you know it's a pop 88 because it's numbered. There's 88 other cards like it. Now, the PSA 10, it does segment it off a little bit. It's a better card in theory, right? But I looked at the set, and basically, there are also 119 other numbered cards that you would prefer to that one, right? So in my mind, it's a pop 88 with 120 higher, basically. With the Messi rookie, this is a pop 280 with 250 higher. So obviously, yes, there is more, right? There is more. So you're going to have to get over that. This is a Messi, though, and this is one of Messi's more preferred rookies, while with Pedri, again, not only is there this set with every other single different number that's in this one, but whenever I went to Pedri's highest total grossing sales and scrolled down, there was like 10, 15 other sets that I saw in between finding this mosaic and searching for whatever else I could see. So, sure, you could say, well, you know, there's less Pedris, right? There's less of them. There's less. Well, I'd hope so, right? If you want any chance of that standing up to Messi long term, there would have to be less Pedris. But again, Pedri is a wish. It's a hope. It's a risk. Messi's guaranteed. Guaranteed. And this is one of Messi's more favored cards at the moment, I would say. So overall, it makes no sense to me how those two can be the same. Sure, this is numbered. Sure, people always make the same excuse where they're like, well, if Messi had numbered stuff, it would be so expensive. And I say to them, PSA grading is numbering. That's how it works. That's what creates this rarity. The only reason you don't believe it yet is because you haven't looked into it, or you don't know how rare it is. You don't know where the pop's going to go, so you have no clue. And so you just plead ignorance and buy a numbered card. That's a terrible way to go about it. Just a terrible way to go about it. So, moving on over from just looking at rookies to opening boxes. Another terrible proposition in the hobby. Personally, I've been in the hobby for a couple years at this point. I've never opened a soccer box. Never. Not once. Now, personally, I also don't enjoy gambling a ton. So for me, it's easy to do that. For some people, it might not be. But here, this is what we're going to look at. So this Topps Museum box went for about $800. You can't see it at the moment, but that's what it went for. So what are you looking for in here, right? The two main hits are Erling Haaland, he has RPAs in here, and you also have Gio Reyna, he has RPAs in here as well. That's kind of what you're looking for, right? So, $800, what could you possibly get out of it? What are you looking for? With this Haaland, this is the best case scenario, basically, where you just break out, I think this is an out of 49 Haaland. Out of 49, Haaland auto, PSA 9. And a PSA 9 on this stuff's actually really, really impressive because they're thicker cards, so it's hard to get a 9. So best case scenario, you pull $4,000. So absolute best case scenario, you 5x your money, right? And then what happens if you don't hit the best case scenario? What happens if you hit the second best case scenario? Giorena currently, this is an out of 50 horizontal RPA. This went for $310. So it's ridiculous to me. Absolute best case scenario, you hit the lottery, you pull the golden ticket, you get a Holland RPA, you send it off to PSA. Not only one do you gotta, pay PSA whatever fee they're gonna take, couple $100, then you gotta pay eBay or whatever auction site you're sending it to. They're gonna take their percent. Realistically, the guy that sold this probably netting about $3,000. So best case scenario, you paid $800 for a box you get $3,000 out of. Best case scenario, you triple your money. And second best case scenario, you lose more than half of it. And that's just such a terrible proposition. It might not sound terrible because the way you're looking at it right now, you're comparing two of the best case scenarios. But when you look at the percentage of how often you're going to get absolutely nothing and then compare it, it's just such a terrible, terrible proposition. Especially when if you're someone that's spending $800 on opening a box just for the shit of it, realistically, you should be able to buy two, right? Like you should be balling like that. And if you could buy two of this, you can basically buy a PSA 8 of this Holland. So again, makes no sense to me. And that is why I've never, ever opened any soccer boxes. So another example, just keep it going, and this will be the one that ends it off. This is another Holland example, 2019 Topps Finest. You're looking for Holland. That's the hit. I don't even know what else you'd be excited about. Obviously, maybe some low-numbered stuff. You got like a random off-the-wall thing, but all right, what do we got here? So 2019 Topps Finest. This sold for $1,025. His numbered out of 250 PSA 9, which again, PSA 9, maybe you get a 10, right? Maybe a 9's not the best, but honestly, Topps Finest doesn't grade incredibly well, so a 9, we'll take it, right? That's $25 more than the price of the box. And after fees and all that jazz and grading costs, you probably lose 25%. So, not best case scenario, but a real good box break, right? A great box break. You hit a Holland numbered card. You could come out of it still losing money, right? And so no matter if you're, betting on the prospect, even a proven prospect like Mbappe, people like to think that he's not, as much of a prospect because he's more proven, but he's still a prospect, right? If he doesn't do consistent numbers in the hobby for the next 10 years, he's not going to be loved, and that just is what it is. And same thing goes with Pedri. You never know. With the young guys, you never know with the boxes you're ripping. All of this risk, right? All of this risk, all of this sort of shortcut taking that people are trying to do with, hitting the golden ticket or winning the lottery. It's abysmal. And I really do think that it's a terrible way to go about the hobby. Because if that's your experience with it, if that's your relationship with soccer cards, is that you're gambling and almost more than likely always losing, it's not going to be fun, right? The hobby should be a way to escape and enjoy a segment of something that you just like and want to be around, right? It shouldn't be, another part of your life that could be taken away from you. And that's what I want to urge here, especially during a time where, soccer cards, like good soccer cards, are as cheap as ever. Don't go spending your money on stupid stuff this year. People are going to want it. It's World Cup year. You're going to want to rip. You're going to want to invest. You're going to want to speculate. But just be careful and, go towards the better stuff. It's definitely the way to go. But that is going to be it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like. Would love to hear your thoughts on this subject down below in a comment. And if you want to see more videos like this as soon as they go live, make sure to subscribe. But with that said, hopefully you have a wonderful day, and peace.